This is the Rays POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Tampa Bay Rays, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Tampa Bay Rays POSTCAST, your spot for instant Rays reaction after every single game. My name is Jonathan Shields. Make sure you guys go follow me on Twitter at Johnny10Shields. Tough one for the Rays today. Just didn't feel like the ball bounced their way early. Yandy had that crazy catch robbed from him in center field. The ball that hit off Webb's foot that went right to Adames on Seymour's ball with a runner on. It wasn't their day. The Rays, I felt like, ran out of gas a little bit. I think you could finally see the road trip get to them a little bit, and rightfully so. That's why I was so impressed with how they came back the previous 2 days. It's human nature to run out of gas a little bit, but is this road trip considered a success? I think they were one game away from it being considered a success. That one game in Seattle is going to haunt the Rays for a long time if they don't make it. But if you had told me, you go 7-5, 6-6 on this road trip, I'd have told you, I'll probably take that. But in this one, we're going to talk about how Pepiot is 1 out away from just an electric start. And with him, man, when it rains and pours, we're going to get into that. Big homestand coming up. How would you guys rate the road trip? Let me know in the comments. How would you guys rate the road trip? We're going to look ahead to the homestand. But first, we're going to talk about how this offense no-showed today.
This is what you'll be talking about.
The Rays' kind of inconsistencies is coming back. They have games where they look like they did in June, and then more games recently, obviously, where they look like they did in July. And today, Logan Webb just had a field day. He felt like he could do whatever he wanted. 7 innings, 3 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts. Just pretty dominant most of the way. And for a long time there, it was, if you need a get-right day, face the Rays. And not that Logan Webb needed a get-right day, but it's also tough because Logan Webb is not someone the Rays see. Maybe you see him once every 2 years. Kind of at this point, it's a little different now because of how everyone plays each other. So the Rays saw him last year, and where he basically did the same thing, 7 innings of just 1 run ball. The Rays couldn't even get a run this time, but didn't see him in 2023. So he's not someone that the Rays are familiar with, and I thought that kind of showed today. And the one time the Rays could get any momentum, Pereira hit one right up the middle, jammed a little bit, still 95 off the bat, and of course it was a double play. And right from there, just another bounce that didn't necessarily go the Rays' way. But when your offense scores 1-2 runs like the Rays did the last 2 games, it's really hard to win. So that's why when Pepiot gave up the 4 runs, and 4 runs is a little bit extreme with 2 outs, but he almost had to be perfect because of how not good the Rays offense was today. I felt like not having another left-handed bat in there was really noticeable today. No offense to Pereira, but having Josh Lowe there, I think, kind of adds a different element. We talked about yesterday how Logan Webb has struggled against lefties this year. Lefties are hitting almost 300 against him. It's ironic that Ha-Seong Kim got 2 hits against him after that was the preview on him coming into this. But I thought that was kind of that hole in the lineup. And, of course, that spot that Josh Lowe maybe would have been hitting, maybe not, but would have lengthened the lineup, came up with the biggest when the Rays kind of had the game still in control, not in control, but still in hand. That spot came up and ended up being double play. So the Rays could have grabbed the lead instead. They had to continue to rely on Pepiot to pitch and be perfect. And, of course, we saw that turned out. And we're going to get to that now, and that is the turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Before we talk about kind of the implosion that Pepiot had, I think it's important to talk about how good he was. I mean, for 17 outs, he was dominant. Before the 2-out rally started, how about 5 2/3, 2 hits, 8 strikeouts? I mean, he was cruising, absolutely cruising. And then right when Ramos got the single, you could tell the next batter to Devers, something was off. Then Devers gets kind of the C&I base hit. And then it was like, okay, if he doesn't get Willie here, you should get him out. And then a 4-pitch walk to Willie. And then he never should have faced Dom Smith. Never should have faced Dom Smith. Right there, you go bring in Clevenger. And Cash had them warming too late. And maybe that was too much confidence in Pepiot. I don't know. It's just ironic how yesterday he was so eager to pull Hauser. And today he let Pepiot go 2 batters further than he should have. And it cost the Rays big time because, first of all, we won't even talk about how Adames scores from first on a single by Dom Smith. Just not a good job by Bingham hitting the cutoff, gets all the way to Kim. And then they still should have got Adames coming to home. So there's a big difference between 2 runs, which it should have been, and it ended up being 4 runs. So Pepe, in my opinion, should never face Tom Smith. He definitely should not have faced the next right-handed batter that came up. That eventually gave the Giants their 4-run lead. And after that was really the game was over. The way that Webb was pitching, we got another Yandy Diaz RBI in the 8th inning, which is kind of rinse and repeat at this point. But it was too little, too late. And the Rays have their biggest 2 games of the season, Tuesday and Wednesday, against the Yankees. You win those 2, you split even. You're kind of still in it. If you lose both, the season's over. And we talked about it yesterday. And it's a possibility. If you want to be pessimistic about the last 40 games of the season, wherever there is, this is where you look. If the Rays win every series, or 2 for 2 so far, winning every series since Seattle, that includes just splitting with the Yankees. That puts them at 86 wins. It's an incredibly tall task. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I'm saying if you're an optimistic Rays fan, that's what you want to look for. I know there's a lot of pessimistic Rays fans out there that are saying it could never happen and probably won't happen. But if you want to be optimistic, that's what you got to look at. The Rays can only lose 1 game in each series the rest of the season. And, the Yankees are hot now. They just swept the Cardinals. With all the ground the Rays covered, they lost a game coming into the weekend on the Yankees. They're 6.5 back again. But, again, crazier things have happened. We've seen crazier things happen with this season in general with the Rays team and their organization to begin with. So it starts with at least splitting with the Yankees, and then it doesn't get easier. You got the Cardinals, who just got swept by the Yankees. Then you go to Cleveland and to Washington. Cleveland, I think, is about to get swept by the Braves unless they came back. They did get swept by the Braves. So winnable games for the Rays coming up, but it's can they stick them together? Can it start to get, can they stack these together? And again, when you look at the Rays, you look, can they win 8 out of 10? Right now, they've won. They won 2 out of 3 against the A's. They won 2 out of 3 against the Giants. That's 4 out of 6, right? Can they get to that 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 range that they're really going to need and start stacking those and going from there? So, they couldn't win 4 in a row. They couldn't sweep the Giants for the first time in franchise history. But, I still think there are some major positives to take away from this homestand. And we're going to talk about if this was a successful road trip right after this. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up, and college football is 6 days away, if you guys can believe it. Whether you've got your eye on a big-name quarterback or breakout running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in the game. So I'm most excited, as I'm sure a lot of you guys are. I'm a big Bucs fan, for Baker Mayfield. So PrizePicks is simple play. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. Your picks are right, you get cash. Going up to 2,000 times your money. So if you think Baker is going to go over his passing touchdowns and Mike Evans is going to go over his receiving yards, you can parlay that together. Download the PrizePick app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, run your game. This episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing the long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before Week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Again, if you think the Bucs will win the Super Bowl, August 26th on FanDuel is your time to bet it. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. Because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel. Play your game. So again, if you guys are in the live, make sure you leave a comment. So now it's the big question. How would you guys rate the road trip? I would rate it, B-, B+. And it's a win against Seattle from being an A-. But I'll go B- on this rating for the road trip, because you won 3 out of 4 series. That's something that you should hold your head up high for. But the sweep against Seattle is going to – there's a few. Gary pointed them out the other day. The one in Cincinnati, the 4-gamer against Boston, and the one against Seattle are the ones you're really going to circle. Like, man, if the Rays just split those games, if the Rays lose 75% of those games, it's a really bit different story. But I would rate it a B-. The Rays, I think, kind of got their swagger back in some spots. 2 comeback wins against the Giants, one where they were down 3 runs, and we know how lethargic the Rays have been when they've gotten down early. They were able to come back in that one. winning 3 out of 4 series against teams that were hot. The A's were hot. They won a series in Baltimore, and they just won a series against the A's right after. The A's swept the Dodgers right after they played the Rays, and the Giants were the only team that obviously wasn't hot. They lost like 7 in a row coming in to play the Rays, but still, the Rays took advantage of the Giants struggling, and they won 3 out of 4 series. Unfortunately, the one series they lost, they got swept. And going 6-6 on the road trip just means you're right back to where you started when you left Tampa. But with a road trip like that, you kind of take it, with this kind of unprecedented road trip. So let me know what you guys would rate this road trip. And I do think, all in all, there's definitely more positives. Even if you're a pessimistic person, I think it would be hard to argue that you couldn't find more positives than negatives from this road trip. From Junior going crazy, Brandon Lau and Yandy Diaz big hits, Bob Seymour getting his first MLB hit, which was awesome. And for the most part, starting pitchers doing some really nice things. So let's look ahead to the series against the Yankees. And the first one is going to be the hardest one to win. As simple as that. You got Carlos Rodon, one of the best lefties this season. He's been really, really good going up against Shane Baz. Rodon this season enjoying a nice bounce back season after having a 6.8 ERA in his first season with New York. He had a sub-4 last year, and then his ERA this year is even better. He's 12-7 with a 3.25 ERA. His last time out against the Twins, dominant. 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 run. Simple as that. His last time out before that against the Rangers, 5 innings, 2 earned. He's pitched against the Rays this year where he went 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs. So he's had success against the Rays this year. The Rays have had success against him in the past, though. Last year, actually, he went 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned against the Rays. But the time before that, the Rays got him for 5 hits, 4 earned in over 4 innings. So tomorrow is going to be, or Tuesday is going to be the hardest game the Rays face against the Yankees. Can they put together some quality at bats against Rodon, who just had one of his best outings of the season his last time out? And Shane Baz, who has really struggled lately. And it's the same with Pepiot as it is with Baz. When it rains, it pours with Shane Baz. His last time, 7 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned. And again, it was the way that the 4 earned kind of came about. Same against the Angels, where he gave it the time before that was 4 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned, but 9 strikeouts in those 4 innings. He's been really good, but when he gets away from him, it really gets away from him. So how is he going to be able to combat that against the Yankees lineup that's better than the Athletics lineup and better against than the Angels lineup? It's a 7.3 ERA in August. He's due for a bounce back. He hasn't pitched great at home, but how clutch would it be to have the bounce back out in B tomorrow? So let's get to the comments as we go to Jax takes his yucky game. Missed opportunity to climb as a couple of other teams ahead of us had losses today. The Rays climbed, though, all in all. If you look at the series, the Rays gained a game, if not 2, on everyone in front of them except for the Yankees, unfortunately enough. As we go to Gary, he says the games against Seattle made the road trip seem a lot worse than it was. I 100% agree. That one was brutal. I think it was 3 really good series and 1 awful series, which unfortunately brings, if you're grading it, brings it down to a B-, maybe a B+ if you're feeling really optimistic. As we go to Gary again, it says playoff format question. How do you feel about the divisional winner with the 3rd best record playing in the wild card round? Was it better the other way with all 3 division winners getting a bye? I don't know. I think you reward the 2 best. If you're going to have that extra playoff team, I think you reward the 2 best division winners, right? I think somehow in baseball that we should reward the regular season more because it's the most grueling regular season in all of professional sports. 162 games. If you're the 3rd best or the least, the worst division winner, and I guess kind of an oxymoron to say, but if you're the worst division winner, you don't deserve to get maybe the same luxuries as the 2 division winners that were better than you do. So it's an interesting question, but was it better before? I don't know. I always like seeing more playoff teams because, again, if there were no more playoff teams, I mean, the Rays wouldn't even have a prayer right now, for example. As we go, Doug Bautista says, every time I see Englert as cash waving the right flag, eating up innings for the inevitable loss, most times I would agree with you, but when it's 4-0, of course he's going to go in there. You're not going to pitch, Griffin Jackson, stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of times it does mean that, unfortunately. But also, yeah, a lot of times Cass loves the play. And it's frustrating because he took Hauser out so quick and then he let Pepiot kind of roll there. And he let him in for 2 batters too long, in my opinion. If you want to give him the Dom Smith hit, that's fine. It was a broken bat, just got out there. He never should have faced a batter after that, in my opinion. Again, Kevin Cash, a 2-time manager of the year. I'll default to him on this one. But yeah, it's just weird how he was so, and I understand the difference in the lineup and stuff like that. I get it. Hauser is facing 3 out of 4 lefties. I do get it. But yeah, I would have gone. I would have gone away from Pep about it earlier. But again, guys, we'll wrap it here. Again, no more late nights with the Rays, unfortunately, and it kind of starts with if the Rays want to get back into it, it starts with the Yankees, man. You play the Yankees for the last time, and they're the team you're chasing for the wild card. So it's going to be a tall task to make up the 6.5 games. It's not impossible. We've laid out what the Rays most likely have to do, but we're going to have to see it to believe it. So again, I appreciate you guys sticking with me all through this long road trip. Back at the Steinbrenner on Tuesday. I look forward to seeing you guys then. Make sure you hit the like on the way out, and I'll see you guys Tuesday night.